Then I'm going to have to bring down that plus 3 because I have not solved that part yet. So then I have one more step to solve. 6 plus 3. Jalen, what's 6 plus 3? What's 6 plus 3? 9. So this all goes in the same little spot. Guys, listen. This all goes, good, in the same little spot. So this, you can't write down in there. So if you write big, like what I do, you're going to have to really work hard to fit it in that one row. So now we have 9. So what we just determined is that when we input 3 for the variable x, our output, or our y value, is going to be 9. So what's our y value? Would we determine that it equals 9? So I'm going to put that in the y column, or the output column.
I just want to know what you're going to do for 5, 8, and 9.
We're going to get there. So from here, we now have an x value and a y value, which means we now have an ordered pair. So this last column, we're going to write the x and the y, the input and the output, as an ordered pair. So what's my x value? David, what was my x value?
3.
And what's my y value?
9.
And then because it's an ordered pair, I'm going to make sure I have parentheses around my numbers and a comma separating them. That's it. So you're basically just substituting, solving, writing as an output and an ordered pair. Okay? So let's look at this next one. This time, what am I going to input for my variable x? 5. So I'm going to write my equation in my function table. Y equals 2. And what do I put around that 5? Parentheses to show that it's multiplication plus 3. So I use this exact same equation for every part of this function table. Morning, Anthony. Thank you. So, again, I'm going to solve just in the same manner. It's fine. So I'm going to solve in the same manner here. So, again, I think to myself, order of operations. Do I have any parentheses with a group of numbers within it? No. Do I have any exponents? No. Michael, do I have any multiplication? I don't have any multiplication up here? Yes, what? Which equals? Okay, so I'm going to bring that 10 and then the plus 3 down. So basically, I took 2 times 5 equals 10, and I brought down my plus 3. So then to solve the last step, Michael, what's 10 plus 3? So we're basically saying if we put input 5 for the variable x, when we solve, y is going to equal 13. So what does my output or my y equal? 13. So I'm going to put that 13 in my output box. And now I'm ready to have an ordered pair. So Danielle, what was my x value? What was my x value for this equation, for this part of the function table? Well, it tells me right here, what's x? So that's going to be my x value, 5. What was my output? What did we solve for y, Danielle? So I then rewrite that as my ordered pair.
So like with the 8, what you would do is you would do y equals 2 parentheses 8.
So y
Plus
equals 2 parentheses 8 plus 3.
Alright, I get it.
So we're going to use this same equation. This time our input for x is going to be 8. So what I did, I substituted for the x the number 8, what they are telling me to. And then I'm going to solve the exact same way as I did the 2 previous problems, but this time instead of multiplying 2 by 5 or 2 by 3, I'm going to take 2 times 8. AJ, what's... Okay, say again, 2 times 8?
18.
16.
Yeah, 16.
And then I'm going to bring down my plus 3. And
It's
then,
going to be 19.
so my y value is what?
19. So your x and y is 8 parentheses. No, 8 decimal.
Comma.
19. Yeah.
In parentheses. Hey, you missed all of my errors like within the first 15 minutes this morning, so I'll give it to you.
Man, it's a Monday.
It's Monday, and my children were heathens starting at like 3 o'clock this morning, 2 o'clock this morning. I don't even know. I don't even remember. Okay, last one. So, last one here. Who thinks they can walk me through top to bottom?
Me.
Start at the very beginning and walk it all the way to the end. Kalon's the only one, and he came in late. All right, Daisha, let's hear it.
No, I don't know. I'm saying I can do it, but I don't want to go.
Okay, so you're going to get me started. So what Daisha's saying, so I'm going to start and I'm going to use the same equation because I use the same equation for the entire function table. So I'm going to put y equals 2. Well, what am I going to substitute for x? Okay, so I'm going to substitute or input my 9 for x. All right. What's my next step I'm going to do, Daisha? And okay, and bring down the plus 3, which equals. Okay.
Oh yeah. And then you put the 18 in the y column.
Wait, what do I put right here? What do I put in the y? What did we say y equals? 21. Very good.
And then it's gonna be 9.
Okay, because that's my x value. What's my y value? And because it's an ordered pair, I put parentheses around it. That's it. So that's today's lesson. We're working on a function table. They're giving us an input or an x value. We're trying to find the output, the y value, to get ordered pairs. So then what you'll do with this on Wednesday, we'll make the function table, but then you'll take these ordered pairs and you'll graph. Okay? All right. Let's look at our second function table here. So we're going to go through this a little bit faster. So example number 2, the equation that you're going to put between your x and your y is going to be y equals negative 2x plus 1. So it's still kind of the same format, except for this time we're dealing with negatives. Negatives sometimes tend to frustrate us a little bit, so we got to pay close attention.
Can you
So,
start off first, probably?
hmm?
Can you start off first?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So what's my input? Which column, when I'm saying columns,
The x.
yes, so the x is going to be my input. So I'm going to write my equation, y equals negative 2, and what do I input or substitute for the value x for this first line? What are they saying x equals for this first line here?
Negative 2. Oh no, negative 3.
Negative 3. So am I going to put the negative 3 like this?
No, first.
Because it's multiplying. Good. And then I bring down my plus 1. So again, this is really similar to the first function table we did. So we're going to multiply first. Jalen, what's negative 2 times negative 3? It's going to be a positive, you're right. So you know 2 negatives is going to be a positive. What's 2 times 3? 6. So I'm going to bring down that 6 plus the 1. Jalen, what's 6 plus 1? 7. So my output or my y, because it says y equals what? So, yep, so what's going to be my output? 7. So my y value or my output equals 7. And then how do I write that as an ordered pair, Jalen? So what's my...
Put 3. No. Oh yeah, 3.
Negative 3. And then what goes around them? Parentheses. Are you still having a hard time seeing from there? Okay. All right, moving right along. Danielle, you guys are just going to, from here, tell me what to write. So I start with my equation. So I'm always going to start with y equals. And tell me what to write from here, Danielle. I just can't hear you. Okay. Good. Good.
Plus 1.
Perfect. So what Danielle said here, we're going to use the same equation, negative 2x plus 1. So our input or our x value, input and x value are the same things, was negative 1. So I substituted that negative 1 for x. So now I'm ready to solve. So when I solve, just like last one, I knew I had to start with multiplying. So 2 negatives when you multiply them together equal a positive. So what's 2 times 1? And then I bring down my plus 1. What's 2 plus 1? 3. So back to you, Danielle. What's my output or my y value now equal to? When I solve the equation, what did I get? 3. So that's my output or my y value. So I'm going to put that in the correct spot on my function table. And now I have an ordered pair because I have both an x value and a y value. So what's my x value, Danielle? And my y value? And then what do I put around them to make sure it's an ordered pair? You got it. Nice. I haven't heard from you in a minute. All right. Tell me what's right.
Y equal -2 parentheses 1 plus 1.
Okay, keep going. So you're going to take, what are you going to do first here? Which is what?
-2
Good. -2. Then I bring down
plus 2.
plus.
Plus 1.
So -2 plus 1 equals
-1.
-1. Nice job. Use your calculator to help you with the negatives if the negatives are still kind of confusing you. So my y value or my output is what, Jaden?
-1.
Okay, and then my ordered pair will be,
-1.
what's your x value first?
1.
Comma,
Then 1.
and parentheses around it. Nice job.
Miss Thurman, I got a little question.
Yeah, sure.
So, I was working ahead, and I want to know which is the next.
Okay, so that's a really good point, and we're going to talk about that in just a second.
Alright.
Okay, last one for this function table. Alex, you're shaking your head no, which really means yes. So, I'm going to start with y equals. What comes after the equal sign, Alex? What kind of 2 is that? Okay, what do I substitute for that x? What's my input? 3, and I'm going to put parentheses around it. Then I bring in my plus 1, okay? From here, what do I do next? Say it again. I just didn't hear you. -2 times 3. You're almost so close. It is going to be a 6, but a negative times a positive is going to be a negative. So I'm going to bring down that plus 1. So now I'm going to have -6 plus 1. You owe me $6. Listen to me. There you go. What type of 5 is it going to be? -5. So your output or your y value then equals what, Alex? -5. What's your order pair going to be? What's your x value? What's your x value? And then your y value? There you go. Okay. So finish filling out the chart. Okay, with this ordered pair, what I want you guys to do, so now you have ordered pairs, right? Right next to this particular function table, you have a coordinate plane. What I'd like to see you guys do is go ahead and graph these 4 ordered pairs. Okay? So you're going to graph these 4 ordered pairs. Just hold on to it.
Oh, okay. Alright. So, Miss Lily, can I connect the line? Or just leave?
You're going to connect them. I'm sorry, I have to change all my pen colors when it goes to black. All right, here we go. So, we already know, you guys told me this morning during the opener, that's my x-axis. This is my y-axis. In the middle where they intersect is the origin. So for the first ordered pair, I start at the origin. I have -3, 7. So where do I go? Say, which way? It's -3.
Oh, left.
Oh, left.
Left, how many?
3 and then up 7.
Yep, and then up 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? Now, because I'm not labeling them, I just plot my point and move to the next ordered pair. My next ordered pair is -1, 3. So I start at the origin. Where do I go? Left 1 and 1, 2, 3. Plot my point. Okay? Next one. I have 1, -1. So I start at my origin. Which way do I go? I'm right here. So I start at my origin. Which way do I go?
To the right.
1. And then,
Down.
okay. And my last ordered pair. I start at my origin. Where do I go? Positive. +3. So I go right how many? And then what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now what you'll do with this, remember how I'm really picky? Get that ruler out. Do not freehand it. Do not freehand it. Use your beautiful ruler I gave you or the straight edge of your ID. And what you're going to do is that you're going to draw a line through all these points. Now, if you heard what I said, you're going to draw a line through all of those points. It's not going to be a line segment. Listen, it's going to go through the endpoints, okay? It's not a line segment. So when you go to graph, unless we're graphing a line segment, okay, don't make fun of my line because it's really hard to draw on the iPad. I did my best to get it through all my points. But the main thing you want to do, you want to make sure that your line goes through all of your points that you plotted, okay? So you want to make sure that line goes through all of the points that you plotted. Now, what do you notice about this line and these points? What kind of line did it make? A long one that's straight. Because it's straight, it means we completed our function table correctly. Now, if we would go to graph these ordered pairs, and we'd have a point up here and our line would not be straight, our function table would be incorrect. So when you go to do your homework on, especially Wednesday, and your lines are all over the place, it means something's wrong in your function table. Main thing, again, and we'll talk about this more in depth on Wednesday, but when you go to graph your function table, and you go to plot your points and draw your line, you have to show that your line goes through these endpoints. You also have to draw an arrow on the end of that line. The reason why that arrow, it represents that that line goes on and on and on. So if we continue our function table, Mike,
What?
you break my ruler because you're playing with it, I'm going to be upset. So, if I would continue the function table, do you guys see a pattern? Where do you think the next dot would be?
The next
Here,
one would be there.
then here. So it means it goes on and on and on and on. It really doesn't end.
Endless?
Okay, yeah, it's endless. Okay, let's look at the third example. Okay,
Oh, okay.
we're going to finish up the third example, and we're going to stop as far as examples today, and I'll give you your homework. Then we'll finish up the other examples tomorrow. Okay, we're going to go through it pretty fast because you guys are pros at this point. The equation that they're giving me for this function table is y equals 4x minus 7. Okay, oh, that's kind of hard to see. Sorry, guys. So y equals 4x minus 7. I have my input for my x value. I have my output, my y value, what I'm trying to determine. The equation I'm using is y equals 4 times x minus 7. David, what do I substitute for x here?
Negative 2.
Okay, and then I go ahead and bring down my minus 7. All right, David, what do I do first here?
You're going to do 4 times negative 2.
And I get?
Don't you get 2?
Ooh, so close. What's 4 times negative 2, you guys? What's 4 times 2?
8.
8. A positive times a negative is a negative. Okay? So from here, then, I drop down my minus 7. I want you to stop and think about it. Negative 8 minus 7. So you owe me $8. Now you owe me 7 more. How much do you owe me? Close. 15. So negative 15. So my output, or my y value, equals, what's my y value here, you guys?
Negative 15.
And my ordered pair, what's my x? And my y?
Negative 15.
Ooh, why did I put negative 8? What's my x value? And what's my y value? All right, next one. Michael, you've been quiet for a minute. You ready to do this one? What do I substitute for x? So I'm going to take y equals 4 times what do I substitute for that x here? What am I substituting for x? What's it saying? 0. And then I bring down minus 7 because I'm using the same equation for the entire function table. Now, according to PEMDAS, there's no parentheses, there's no exponents, but there is multiplication. Where's my multiplication at here?
At the 4 and
Which equals?
0.
Okay, so I'm going to take 4 times 0, and I'm going to get 0, and I'm going to bring down that minus 7. So from there I solve what's 0 minus 7.
0 minus 7 is 0. 7.
What type of 7 is that going to be?
7.
Negative 7. If I have $0 and I overdraw my account, or I go into the negatives by 7, if I take 0 and I minus 7, it's going to be a negative 7. So what's my y or my output going to equal? Not 7, negative 7. So then my ordered pair is going to be, what's my y value? Excuse me, what's my x value? It will be 0. What's my y value? All right, moving right along. Start with the same equation. This time, what's my input value? 1, yeah. So I'm going to take 4 times 1 minus 7. Deja, what's 4 times 1? Minus 7? It'll be negative 3. So your output is negative 3. So your ordered pair, what's your x value? Grab that worksheet. And what's your y value? It will be negative 3. Perfect. All right, last one. Who do you guys want to hear solve this one? Who? Jaden? Did you say Jadon? All right, here we go. What's my input for x this time, Jaden?
7 equal for parentheses 6, then negative 7.
Okay. Now what do I do?
Then 24 on negative 7.
Which equals?
17. Then it will be
So my output is,
17.
and then your ordered pair?
6.